Hey guys, this is a collaboration video and will feature the channels Creepy Puppy Pasta and Chilling Nightmares. If you like their narrations and would like to check out their channels, you can find links to their channels in the descriptions and also at the end of the video.
My whole childhood I lived in the same town in Pennsylvania with my parents. I was the youngest of two boys by 2 years, and for the most part had a pretty nice childhood. I played Nintendo with my brother, played in the creek nearby on weekends, and generally I had the whole shebang. But when I was 9, my brother went missing. I ended up going to all the same schools as all my friends did, just as our parents did before us, all the way back to the 1800s. It wasn't often that we had someone move in from the outside, but it did happen from time to time. A new kid would show up at school, and we all would criticize them until they were accepted. Mostly, they fit in, except for this one girl in 4th grade, just before Jake, my brother, vanished. Her name was Josie Callow. Just about 9 years old, she always wore pigtails tied off with white ribbons and wore this dress that I swear was from the 50s. The same clothes day in and day out. When we all would show up in jeans and t-shirts, she was the model student with black shiny school shoes and white tights. Every day before school, she would pull up in a blue Chevy van with the sliding door on the side. She would kiss who I assumed was her father goodbye, and then got out and ran for the front door. He had his dark hair slicked back and wore a dark suit, jacket, and tie. He always smiled and waved at me when he left, and every time it made me cringe. It made me feel like he hated me. My skin crawled every morning when I'd see him. As soon as she was inside, he would speed off, leaving a trail of black smoke that only the really old junkers did. She was weird too. Josie never talked or sat with anyone, ever, and she never ate lunch. Upon further examination, you could see everything she wore was dingy and dirty, and she even emitted a certain odor that none of us could place. The other kids started calling her Smelly Josie. I really should have known better than to let someone make fun of a little girl. Yeah, I was little, but my family were devout Christians and took me to church every Sunday. I knew better. I finally went to her defense, even against my own friends. That was the day I became the black sheep. Because I did what I did, my buddies wrote me off completely. I became friends with Josie, and would eat lunch with her every day after that. I talked endlessly about everything I knew, but for some reason she really never said much. Just that she liked how I talked and that she could listen to me for hours. The way she looked at me made me feel kind of special. I don't know. That went on for weeks, until she started coming to school with bruises on her arms and legs. At first she just said she fell on her stairs, then the next week it was an accident out in the yard. None of it added up. I tried to invite her over for dinner, and she was excited about it, but when the day came, she backed out every time. We ended up arguing. I was saying that her dad could meet my family as well and be friends with them. Horrified at the idea, she refused, saying that I didn't know what I was saying. She ran home after that and I didn't follow. My heart was beating 1,000,000 miles an hour. Mom was cooking in the kitchen, so I stormed in and got her attention. Frightened for my friend, I told my mom about Josie and what I thought her dad was doing to her. She immediately picked up the phone and called the school. Asking for the principal, she was put on hold. Before the hold music stopped, to give away the voice of the principal, she slowly hung up the phone. Mom turned to me with a serious look on her face and said, "I don't want you to ever talk to that girl ever again. She's dangerous. I saw her and her father in town, and they are not the type of folk we should be associating with." She said the last part really slow and quiet, like a whisper. Her eyes went for the living room door, like she thought my dad would overhear. I didn't know what to think. I tried to ask why she didn't tell the school, but she shushed me and went back to cooking. That was the end of it. A couple days later at recess, Josie and I were playing on the swings, and she told me that her father had done something horrible and that he deserved to die. I asked her about it, and she said, "It is his right, a part of his charge." Her face was a mottled mixture of fear and pain when she finished. Then she said, "I don't want to go home. Can I live with you forever?" Tears flowed in her eyes and down her face, creating gray-looking droplet marks on her off-white dress. Josie hung her head in shame. Her loose strawberry blonde curls stuck to her cheeks and made her look so innocent, as if she had a doll-like quality. When the bell rang, she looked at me as if she were going to die. She was truly terrified. When I got home, my mom and dad were in the living room with the police. My brother didn't come home from school. In fact, he never got on the morning bus that day. He went to the junior high across town, so he had a different bus than I did. Plus, he went earlier than me by a whole half hour because of the distance. Mom always used to ask him if he wanted to ride to school, but he always insisted on meeting with his friends and hanging out before the bell rang. He was the kind of kid that you just couldn't hate, always smiling and always the joker. It was that night that I heard my mother and father arguing. My room was down the hall, so I didn't hear what they said, but my father stormed out of the house afterwards, leaving my mother crying on the front step. We never found Jake. The police conducted a statewide search for him, but the trail went cold somewhere along the border. A gas station attendant reported seeing him at a Circle K after a commercial came on the television with Jake's face on it. He was caught on video camera with a man and a young girl, about 9 years old, wearing a white dress. The faces were blurry, but we knew it was my brother because of the Dr. Pepper hoodie he was seen wearing that day. Eyewitnesses were brought in by the police, and they got their sketch artists to whip up a drawing of the man seen with Jake. They were passed around my school, and when I finally saw it, my heart just about jumped out of my chest. It was the same man, Josie's father, with that same smile he always had plastered across his face, and my friend with my brother. A month later, we had a funeral for Jake, but it was an empty casket.
This week, I moved into a new house. The house itself is lovely, with 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a fenced-in backyard, and a big kitchen. The tree in the front yard is tall and strong and does a fine job of blocking the living room windows from the street. The water pressure is fabulous, and the hall closets are large, and the wood floors are new. The only problem that I've had so far is that my neighbors are rather loud. Our houses connect on one side, so we share a living room, bedroom, and kitchen wall. All day long, I can hear them banging around their kitchen, watching loud movies, talking, and their small child crying. It's a bit trying, but nothing I can't live with, I suppose. Now, to get directly to the thing that really concerns me. It started when I was in the shower this morning. I usually like to have music playing while I shower, but today I thought I'd rather just enjoy the silence. The activity was fairly uneventful, until, as I was in the middle of washing my hair, I could hear my neighbors talking from the other side of the wall. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but it sounded strange to me. It seemed that they were mumbling something, whispering and occasionally laughing quietly. But I couldn't figure out how I could hear them if they were evidently speaking quietly. I thought that they must be standing absurdly close to their side of the wall in order to be so audible in the midst of my shower. I didn't think too much of this incident until I was leaving for work an hour later. As I started to open my car door, I turned back to the house like I'd forgotten something. As I looked up at my bedroom window, I realized that the neighbor's house shares a wall from the opposite side of the bathroom. On the other side of my bathroom lies my bedroom closet.
This is from the point of view of a woman. At the time of this incident, I was 27 and had just broken up with a man for lying to me and cheating on me. I was a shy girl who rarely spoke up and had few friends. On a walk to a grocery store, I bumped into a man I'd met sometime earlier. He was a tall, skinny black man who seemed nice. He was flirty with me. At first I didn't care, but in time, he became my latest boyfriend. We never did much besides kiss, because I wanted to save myself for marriage. We dated for a little over a year before things soured between us. I finally broke up with him when I learned he only wanted a girl on the side. It turned out he was cheating on a girl with me. Our breakup was bad. For days afterward, he kept trying to call me, kept coming to my house, screaming my name while standing on the porch. Finally, I had enough and called the police. As he was arrested, he kept screaming that I belonged to him and was coming back to take care of things. I got a restraining order the next day. I happened to be friends with a girl who is an attorney, so it was easy. He was released a month later and tried to contact me again. I told him that if he ever tried to call or see me again, that I would call the police. He was silent a minute before saying, "Try to find me, baby." He hung up. I became nervous, but was determined not to let him intimidate me. My father and I are musicians and had a gig that night. We went out, me nervous about seeing my ex. We played for an hour, then went home. As we drove into the driveway, I froze in fear. I pointed at the garage and my dad saw it too. Painted on the huge door in red paint were his name and mine, and the word forever. It was also all over the walls of our house. I called the police and they went inside. My ex wasn't in there though, thankfully. The police left after 2 hours of searching. Almost immediately I got a text reading, "What do you think of my work, baby girl? You can't stay away from me. I'll see you soon. Sweet dreams." A week passed. We got rid of the paint and I was on edge all that time. It started to affect my job. I was so jumpy. Every time I heard anyone call my name or put a hand on my shoulder, I'd almost scream. I barely slept in those days, nervous of every sound heard at night. I started to sleep with a bat near me, just in case. After almost 3 weeks after the paint incident, I had another gig. We played for a half hour before I looked out into the crowd and saw him. He was in the back of the room staring right at me. He moved forward, parting the crowd. I pointed to him, shouting to the crowd to block him because he was a stalker. A few moved, but he jumped onto the stage. In front of me, he unbuttoned his pants, pulled them down around his ankles, and screamed, "You want this, don't you?" I picked up my guitar, swung it, and hit him on the head. He wobbled and glared at me in anger. My dad pounced on him, hit him a few times, and pinned him to the stage floor. Security grabbed and arrested him. He was charged with breaking a restraining order, stalking, and intimidation. His truck was outside. It was searched by police. I saw it all. In the back seat was a large knife, a rope, tape, a huge roll of plastic wrap, a can of red paint, a shovel, a picture of me walking, and a picture of my house with his name painted on the photo. When I realized his intent, I almost immediately threw up. He was sentenced to 15 years in order to move away from the city whenever he got out. I can now breathe a sigh of relief knowing he is gone. I've since moved on and found a nice new boyfriend at work. He's helped me forget what I went through, but sometimes I can't help the feeling I get, even now, whenever someone calls out my name. Even now, sometimes I'll mow or water our front lawn and still see the horrible paint written on it. If I smell hand sanitizer, which he always wore a lot of, it makes me queasy and nervous. Sometimes I wish I'd never said hello to him. It's been 4 years now. I hope that I never see him again.